first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Appreciate all of you joining us wherever you are. You found us. Thank you. So that whether that's on YouTube, our live stream, or on any of our apps or on the website, we appreciate you being here. We're live every weekday at 1 p.m. and then throughout the day as well with all kinds of stuff. That could be breaking news, could be deeper dives, could be interviews, could be talking about things happening here in the Northwest. And today we're talking about the comic book industry. You know, it's world renowned here for illustrators, writers, creators, publishers, you name it. We've got a little piece of it here happening locally, and that includes biographical comics, which are huge, an entire industry into itself. And we had Darren Davis, who is the person behind TidalWave Productions, who is making some amazing biographical comics, a lot of them, and we got to sit down and talk to him all about that. So that's what we're going to be playing right now. This is a previously recorded interview, but still just as relevant right now. So here we go. Here's Darren, right here on Fox 12 Now. By and large, I would say the leader of that industry, or certainly one of them. I don't know how you classify yourself, but Darren, you have been an epic person in the comic book industry for a long time, and I want to talk about these biographical comics. But before we even get into that, you know, you have such a storied history in the industry. I wonder if you could tell us how you got started in the beginning.
I actually got started. When I was a kid, I wanted to do television stuff. I went to college for it. I grew up in a town called Westlake Village in California, where I would see like the Muppet movie being filmed and Dukes of Hazzard, and those cars would be driving by as I was walking to elementary school. So I was always fascinated with the entertainment industry. And so from there, I ended up going to college at Cal State Northridge and studying media management, and got a job right out of college working at Entertainment Television. And I worked there for like 6-7 years, loved it. But I ended up falling into a different area. I fell into more of the marketing and advertising rather than production, which I kind of wanted to do. And from there, after I worked at Entertainment Television, I got a job at USA Network, the Sci-Fi Channel, and then Lionsgate, which was called Trimark back then. And I just kept learning all these different tools as I had each job. And when I worked in Lionsgate, I ended up having to put together actual, like, I had to learn Photoshop, I had to do all this stuff because they had such low budgets that I had to figure out how to put things together at low budgets. And so then I wasn't making enough as I wanted to make. And so DC Comics ended up doubling my salary. And so I was like, I want to go there. And at that point, I never wanted to work in comic books. I was a huge comic book fan, as you can kind of see with all my background here. And I have been a collector ever since I was a kid. You know, I used to ride my bike to 7-Eleven, would go to these little rack things here at 7-Eleven and pick up my 25-cent, 35-cent comic books. And so I never really wanted to work in it, but DC Comics opened my eyes.
You know, it seems like now I feel like the crossover between those two industries is certainly well known, with the success of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that. But back then, that seems like that was a little bit of a divide there, like a difference between going into that, and especially with DC Comics paying more.
Right. And what was kind of weird, that was like when you had movies like The Fantastic Four by Roger Corman, which was this odd little movie, or you had Spider-Man, the TV show back in the 70s or something like that, or the Flash TV show, which was in the 90s. So yeah, it was a different kind of world back then. And then when I worked at DC Comics, I ended up getting the artists jobs outside of the comic book industry. So doing video game packaging, magazine work. So kind of taking what I learned from my advertising and marketing background and incorporating into the comic book world, doing custom comics for people. So that's where I actually learned how to put together a comic book just from working from that. And then DC Comics, I was working in LA and they had an office in San Diego. I really wasn't ready to move. And so I ended up getting let go, which was totally fine. And because as I said, they couldn't really figure out what to do with me because they wanted me to move to San Diego and edit Star Trek comic books, which is kind of ironic because I ended up working with William Shatner editing his books later when I was doing my own stuff.
That's a story we're gonna have to come back to, by the way. You can't just drop that. But
so I ended up taking the custom the consumer product stuff and just kind of went on my own. And instead of representing the artists of DC Comics, I was representing, basically, I got to represent every top comic book artist in the industry. So like Marvel, DC, everywhere. And so I became the it person to do this marketing work, and everybody wanted to do a video game package, and I had the connection still. So I was watching all these people create their own properties, and I ended up thinking to myself, wait, I could do this. I can create my own comic book. Thinking ego-wise, like, oh, I can do this. And luckily, I did my first one in 2001, and it was called The 10th Muse, which she's right over here. But and it launched at the 6th highest selling comic book. It beat, X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman. And because of my marketing and advertising background, I threw everything that I knew into this comic book. I knew production value. So I wanted to make sure that I had what was hot style-wise then into that. And then I hired Marv Wolfman, who created Blade, who is one of the editors-in-chiefs of Marvel, who created Nightwing, the new Teen Titans. And I hired him to do the dialogue and all that stuff. And the comic book just took off. But we also used the celebrity angle to it. We used a Sable, who was, I believe it was the WWE back then, who was like the top-selling, one of the top-selling models at that time in wrestling personalities. And we used her as a photo model, but you didn't have to like the celebrity angle. You could like just the comic book. And so that's why I think we put together such a good book, and it just took off. And, I've been riding that wave 22 years now.
I mean, it really is a convergence of so many different things, all these different aspects of your life and people you encountered and everything going on to come to that, and so you have that one take off, and now, we can definitely talk about this. I am going to ask you about Shatner, though. We're going to come back to that. But before we do that, let's talk about some of these amazing titles that you have, because this came, probably a lot of people have seen them before and just didn't realize how, or maybe not have realized how big a genre it is, because these are some pretty epic titles that you have. Like, I'm looking at this one right here, like Reba McIntyre. You did a book, a biographical comic about Reba McIntyre. How did that come about?
So what happened was, we, as I said, throughout my years, because I've been doing this 22 years, the comic book industry kind of like took a big slump. And even with movies like Avengers and, The Dark Knight and all this type of stuff, comic books were slipping. Back in the 90s, they were selling 9 million copies. And then, in the 2000s and 2010s, comic books started selling, like 100,000 copies was like the top selling comic book. So we had even when we were doing Shatner books, and we worked with Ray Harryhausen, who did Clash of the Titans and Logan's Run, and we had some pretty popular titles, they still weren't performing the way that we needed them to do. So, there was a comic book company called IDW, which is now, ironically, I helped start back 20 years ago, and now they're based up here. So I was never a founding member, but we used to put all our consumer products together with them. So we have a strong beginning ties to them. And so they did a Barack Obama and a John McCain comic book in 2008. And because we've done a lot of female-driven books that are, very female empowerment, like The 10th Muse, Legend of Isis, Judo Girl, we thought to ourselves, what, let's try a biography, but do it in a female empowerment angle. And so we did Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin, and we did them, whether you like either one of them, you have to respect them for their accomplishments and what they've done as women. And, nobody was talking about what John McCain was wearing and, Barack Obama, but people were talking about Sarah Palin and Hillary Clinton. And so they were being treated a little bit unfairly. So we did those two books, and once again, they took off, and it created a new genre for us. The biography genre has been around since the 50s. There was, Jerry Lewis, there was Bob Hope comic books. And so in the 80s, there was, rock and roll comics. And so we're just basically the next generation of doing it.
I think that's really interesting what you said too, just about, a Sarah Palin one and having it still take off, regardless of, whatever political leanings people have. It is still just the fact that it is clearly just such an interesting genre, and the artwork is amazing on it as well. And, I'm showing some of the ones right here.
So if you go back to the Joe Biden one,
yep.
Which is so weird about that cover, that's actually hand drawn. I have the actual illustration, and it looks like a photo, but it's totally hand drawn by this artist. His name's Dave Ryan, and he is one of the best artists I've ever worked with, just for likeness. That's an actual illustration.
That's a drawing? That's an illustration?
It's so
wow.
weird to see that, yeah. So
yeah, that's
I had to doubt it. I always doubt it. I'm like, because he also did like Dolly Parton for us. He did a Kamala Harris for us. So it's just so weird to see some of these, how great they are.
Well, and there's so many different ones, just included all in that. So how do you go about deciding who it is that you're going to do one of these on? Because like I said, it's a wide range of different people. I've got examples that you sent over, just some of them, like Harry Styles, which I guess I can see that one, probably being pretty popular, but even some of the political ones, some of the other versions you have, like, how do you make that decision?
I think it all started off kind of one of the things where I learned working at entertainment television and working in the entertainment industry is kind of learning what is hot and what is going to kind of keep hot. And there was a while that we were kind of doing like one-hit wonders, and the problem with those is that they'll sell for a second and that they're not going to sell like 2 years from right now. So we did a Selena Gomez comic book about 5 or 6 years ago, and it still sells to this day. And so I keep looking for those type of people, like a Harry Styles, that the comic book just came out a couple weeks ago, and that comic book will sell for years to come. And so when it comes to the political stuff, it's a little bit different, because we started off doing this Female Force series, which was all about female empowerment. And so then we did this Fame series, which is part of like with Harry Styles, and we did like Taylor Swift, just all these different people like Dave Grohl. And then we have a tribute series for people that have passed. We are doing a Tina Turner one that's actually in the works right now. So that's an exclusive for you guys.
Nice.
But then we also do this thing called Political Power. And the thing with Political Power is, everybody thought the first one that we'd ever do is going to be like Barack Obama because he was president at the time. And we ended up doing Colin Powell. I wanted to tell different stories of different people, and then every election cycle, it's because right now, people think, oh my God, we just do Joe Biden, we did Kamala Harris, we did Pete Buttigieg. And so that's kind of like what people kind of remember. But what people don't remember is 4 years before that, we did Jeb Bush, and we did Marco Rubio, and we did Donald Trump, and Rand Paul. And so we did all these people. And then, so now we're getting into more of a Republican cycle, because that's the way that, you have Joe Biden, who's probably going to be the incoming coming in. And so then we'll have, we just did Ron DeSantis, and Nikki Haley will be coming out, I believe, next month. So we try to stay on top of who's the front runners and try to get a comic book done on them. So
do you ever
interesting? So
do you ever hear from them?
Yeah, a lot of people we do. The first one we ever did, we did the Hillary Clinton, and we got a call from Bill Clinton's assistant asking for a copy of it, and the only thing I can think of is like, why don't you just go down to the store and go buy it? Like,
Right. Seems a lot faster.
yeah, but I've had, I have a signed one from Hillary Clinton. I've signed one from Sarah Palin. You know, Ron Paul signed a copy for us. Rand Paul wanted them for his, campaign. And the thing that we do, and I want to make this totally clear, at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to know who I vote for or who my company supports and doesn't support. And so we keep these so unbiased.
Yeah.
So which is weird. So it's weird because some people think we're not unbiased, and then we get hate mail from Twitter and all that
I
stuff.
mean, it's Twitter. Somebody's going to be mad about something. Because that seems pretty across the gamut right there. That's a wide range of people that you just had. Well, it's really, really interesting just seeing how you have made such a following for all of these, and how you've worked with this. You worked with some really great artists too. Like you said, that Joe Biden one's incredible. And putting all this together. I do want to ask the William Shatner thing. I have to do it. I keep mentioning it. So what was it like working with him?
Working with him was fine back in the day. Things changed a little bit, but back in the day, he was, we worked on a book called Tech War together. So he did a bunch of novels. So we did Tech War, Quest for Tomorrow, and Man of War, which are novels that he actually wrote. And so we did the comic book versions of them. And so my brother, who is a big Star Trek William Shatner fan, we got the rights to work with him. And so he got to write all the books for him, which was really great. And it was neat. It was nice meeting. He was very involved. He liked doing the comic books. And then, then things shift.
That's fair. I can see where you're unbiased. Yeah. Your neutrality is coming in right there.
We also worked with Walter Koenig from Star Trek as well. So who was
Nice.
Chekhov.
Well, bringing it back here to the Portland side of things, you've been up here. This is where you're based. What is it about Portland that makes it such a comic book industry mecca?
I'd probably say it has to start with Dark Horse, being that Dark Horse is based here. IDW moved up here probably, I think, 5 years ago. I've been up in the Northwest now for probably 15 years. But there is a lot of writers there. It's a very creative community. We have the Comic Cons that come here. So it is very creative, and I think my creativity does definitely shine a little bit. So being here, I love it here. So
yeah, I mean, it's just everything in that comes into here and all involved with it. So, well, Darren, I want to say thank you very much for taking some time out of your day, to talk to us about this. It's really, really incredible. Anything else that you want people to know too, because I want them to know where they can go pick these up, and anything else that you want to share.
90% of the stuff that we do is sold on Amazon. You can type in TidalWave Productions, or just look for the person that you want to do, that you like, celebrity-wise or political-wise. A lot of these are political memorabilia, so, some of them are worth money, and it's pretty cool to have that. But, it's Amazon is the best place, and we love doing it. We have so many more things planned and so many more people planned, and we do want to bring a little bit more to Portland as well and do some fun stuff there.
Nice. Well, and I know we got an exclusive in there, so people will have to go back if they missed it and listen to that. Darren, thank you very much for joining us here for Fox 12 Now and talking about this. Congratulations on all the success. Can't wait to check out everything that you've got and all the new ones. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Huge thank you to Darren for joining us right there for that segment. I want to issue an apology because I just realized on the lower third that I typed out there was some misspelling in there. So that's completely on me. It's a one-person operation over here, and I should have spell checked. But regardless, Darren was fantastic. So really check out all of that stuff that's going on there for TidalWave Publications. And thanks for everybody joining us here for Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler, and we are live here every weekday, 1 p.m. Pacific, at least once, and then usually more than that. And I want to talk about tomorrow's show. So you may have heard about the AI DJ here in Portland. I'm going to have the voice behind the AI DJ, Ashley Z, is going to be joining the show tomorrow to talk about the process of that, what that means for the radio industry and going forward for everything. So turning her voice into an AI that DJs on that station. So she's joining us at 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, and we've got lots more as well. And I want to also remind you that you can send me an email, fox12now@kptv.com. If you have something that you think would make for a good segment, or maybe there's a news story you want to do a deeper dive on, and we can get the reporter in here and talk about that. Anything's really a possibility. So send me an email. We'll take a look at it and let you know. But just definitely, by all means, send that in. And we can, of course, you can also watch us on YouTube Live and all of our apps as well, and the website. So make sure that you tune in all of those places. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to sign off for today. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.